welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is longtime listener, poet laureate, and Taya master Anne-Marie Young. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Anne-Marie, about a month ago, we had a guest join us, Brigitte Wieser, who just kind of blew our minds with what she taught us about light language healing, right? I mean, that was quite an episode, right? And
absolutely.
When we got done, we were talking with her and amongst ourselves, and we said we got to have her back. So why not today?
Yay! Exactly.
Let's have her back today. In fact, she's right here. Oh my God, she's in the studio. Oh. You see, law of attraction works beautifully.
Yeah, with the daily dose of happy.
That's right. Absolutely. And it was happy. It was happy with last time we had you here.
It
were having
was.
so much fun. So yeah, we need to continue the conversation. So thanks for coming back, Brigitte. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh no, thank you for having me.
And we were just getting caught up again since last time we talked, and you currently are living in Spain, and you were telling us about living on the coast, and you sit out on your deck, and you have your laptop as you're doing your writing, and you're looking out on the ocean. And Anne-Marie and I were both saying, "Oh, that sounds really nice."
That part is really nice, because the other thing that's really amazing here is that it's kind of quiet. It's very hilly. So when I walk my dog, and especially at night, I can see the stars perfectly clear. No pollution. It's pitch perfect clear.
Wow. That does sound
So you
great.
can see all the star belts, the Pleiadian star belt. I've seen the dog star, but it's just amazing. And I can just sit up and just look like that for, look up for God knows how long. It's just mesmerizing. I love it.
Well, I get to look at a background of myself that it has outer space. You actually get to see the outer space, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, a month ago, we were talking about light language and light language healing, and you gave us a bit of a demonstration, and you explained to us a lot about what it is that you do. I wanted to continue that conversation. I wanted to ask you a couple things too.
Sure.
Well, first of all, bring people for those there. Let's not assume everybody heard that episode. Okay, most people probably have, but let's assume there are some who haven't. So let's go back to the beginning for a moment. Let's talk about what light language and light language healing really are, and just kind of lay the baseline.
In layman terms,
yeah.
Well, light language is, it's ancient. It's galactic healing, as I call it. It's healing for your soul. And so on a conscious level, you're not going to understand it, because, as I always say, it's like gerbil language, or it's like Mignonese, and you can't understand the minions either, but that doesn't matter. Your mind doesn't have to comprehend it. It's your soul that comprehends the light code activations just beautifully, as I always say. And that's the important thing. So whereas in our mind, so to speak, we carry everything in the archives of our mind, and everything stems from our mind, and that's okay. But when your soul when you heal on I always call it a cellular level, right? The mind eases as well, and so you start to get rid of stuff that you've kept up there in the archives of your mind, so to speak. That's very much in layman terms.
So that's the healing side of it.
That's the healing side, yeah.
Right. Okay. And let's talk from a more practical perspective. What's the practical side of this kind of healing that we're talking about?
Wow, it's way out there. So people have heard of course, many people have heard that there's so many forms of healing, spiritual healing, Reiki, which is very, very, very different. This is, as I've found out myself, pretty much a shortcut to healing. And it's just powerful. It's very, very different. And everybody that hears it reacts to it differently, or they go through different stages in their life. And whatever needs to be resolved will be resolved eventually. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what type of healing you go for. It has to, as I always say, agree with your spirit. That's the most important thing. And you've got to be willing to do the work. I'm not a fairy godmother. Do I look like a fairy godmother to you?
Well,
You've
you're
got
missing
to
the
do
magic
the
wand, so
work.
yeah. No, that makes sense. It makes total sense, because any kind of healing that we're going to do, we have to be working on ourselves. Otherwise, we're not really getting the benefit out of it, no matter what it is, no matter what the method or the modality or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to face our own inner demons, but once we come to that place of acceptance, that's when we can start to heal.
Right. So a month ago, Anne-Marie, I think you and I certainly reached a level of acceptance in terms of, wow, we're accepting how amazing this stuff is.
It was incredible, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Well, the first part was, I mean, I don't even know how. I think you told us, but I don't remember how many languages from God knows where. I have no idea where all these entities come from. There were at least 2. I thought there were 3 or 4 that she had uttered. But you hear these languages, and I mean, it sounds like a language. It sounds real. I have no idea what it means, and there is a lyrical quality to them.
Yep. Yeah, they're all different. I keep getting new ones coming through, and I'm like, what? It's very funny how they talk in my head in the light language, and it always amazes me. And I think, the way we stay connected when we plug back into source, so to speak, I always say, we've unplugged from source, and the way to plug back in, which works for me, is really meditate in the morning and meditate in the evening, and really focusing on the breath, which is really, really important.
Yeah, that seems to be true for anybody who's doing any kind of metaphysical work, whether it's light language, or it could be just channeling, or just connecting for one's own communications or whatever. But that's always a major part of it, I guess, because it helps us to calm everything so that we can be more receptive.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, which makes sense. So, Anne-Marie, is there anywhere that you want to go with this before I start? Because you know me, I'll just start asking questions and I'll take over for the next half hour. But I wanted to see, is there somewhere you wanted to go with this first before I even do that?
No, I just find it all fascinating. I just want to hear all about it. And I know certainly when we had that light language experiment or demonstration on us,
I'll do another one for you.
I mean, it was so intense, and you said afterwards, like you'll get some clarity. I really did feel that clarity, and I do feel a lot lighter since, I have to say. It was really powerful stuff. So I'm just intrigued to learn more about how to continue with this kind of light language, how we can connect ourselves, maybe.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely, you can. It just depends. I mean, like for me, I think I told you the story last time, but it was really about me pushing myself, because I knew I was ready, but I just couldn't. The sound didn't come out. And until finally one of my mentor pushed me over the edge, because that's exactly what I told her to do.
Okay. Yeah.
And so she started talking light language to me after she did like an initiation, and then I just came out like a waterfall.
And it has.
But I think I was ready. At that point in time. I was ready.
Speaking of being ready, I mean, you said you'll do another demonstration with us.
I'm happy to do another demo.
But it occurs to me, we were just talking a moment ago about how important it is to meditate to get ourselves into a good frame of mind so we can be as receptive as possible. But that's also going to be true for people who are listening to what you're going to lead us through, right?
Yeah.
So should we be asking our listeners to get themselves into a meditative position and calm and breathe and all that kind of thing to get ready? Or is there something else they should do? Or?
No, same as last time. Really easy.
Okay. All right. Well, let's give it a shot then. Let's especially for those who didn't catch it the first time around, because let me tell you guys, this is a trip.
Okay, did we want to focus on anything?
Let's just make it a general healing for whatever it is that individuals want to heal, because it's going to be different for every person.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so that's all right. I've already got them here, but I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Okay. And take a very deep breath in. Hold it. And just gently let that go. And take another very deep breath in. Hold it. And again, just gently let that go. And as you keep breathing in and out, I will bring through whoever is going to come through, but I already know. And and just allow for your mind. When your mind wanders, I'll put it this way as they put it. When your mind wanders, just bring it back to the breath and just absorb the codes. And whatever you feel, that's okay. Just allow for the codes to integrate. So I'm going to bring them through right now. And I call these the aquatic star seeds. They have quite a sense of humor, to be honest with you. So this is really about healing. And the healing will go where it's supposed to go. Okay. All right, first, before I start this saying, I'm going to have to put you in a beautiful emerald green bubble, and this will protect you during the transmission. Kuriniki sai meti ukulurini nikakatushi titi alapui maka asinini nikata hulililia uriririrakatututuisi nini athalia hai nikiti uyemitisi ai tiktikiti mulalululi ngakisi yamahahati kushinikita nikitisi alamaikatui miti kuhialu inikatasi kiti alahanikutututushi nikititi kushi ini ya ta 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 ta. Okay, I'm going to have to tell you this because these are what I set up to you as aquatic star seeds. And what you will feel is they have, it's kind of like, I'm not going to say like webbed fingers, but this is how they show it to me. And the points of the fingers, if you feel them anywhere, this is merely for transmissions and for healing. So if it tingles anywhere, that is okay, they're saying. To tiki tiki tale mikisak ku itkitkan no to kitale mikita chukutika takatiki tui mikitsa akui takataka tiki shutiki yamahatiki yoba aha. Tihini kisikita kalai ku itsikitui nga tuti tikita tuti mikitiki ahanikiti yaku tisia mahushikiti yamaka asikiti itiki ini mikitika yamaku tu tiki isekala po ikita tu tiketini mikiseka ku ikiti ku atka ku kisikatala po tikia mahasiki isikia isiki miaka auka isiki makatu imaha tu tiki siki itimiki asakilu likitaku tiki isiki and how they're showing me this is really disentangling everything, allowing it to flow through you with ease. Kushikitiyama kataka isiki yesakata katukutiki atikatale mahit katakutuki isiku iyaka. Pukitikita maha ki isiku luisiki mahaya mikita aniya to isi amalalele. Ku isi yamako tuku tikata isikiti yamaha ku yamaka isiki ama to siki yamalakiti yamahatagin uki tu yamasiki yamahati yamahai ku isiki isimi ya to ki tu yimi yalahi yamahati yamahati ku yisik they're actually they're bringing forth. This is Archangel Michael. And this is all about healing and facing your fears. Kushini ki tale mehini ki oi sikidi amaha kuhini ka achatiti amasiga ini yala puini yala hu ha nikishis ui hi hu ha tiki amalala ini hata pu ha tiki amahani esi I amahati amahatu ki ihi hani puni kinti amukita puki nisia u hani kisi amahane hisi Allahu ki inibiti a tushinika huhiniki a ukini sikatani mihinika tu ikita kuini hu diamaha hisina la ini hatikata imala ukina ngai hiti amaluri anika tu ikitira lulina katukatakata Sisi yamala hui and just allow everything to flow through you, as they put it as well, with joy, flow with the ease, and just let everything go. Does it really serve you? Tu sini ka tiki asini ni athikidi I puki tiki taka kedam ihu ikatasi ni kiti yama uku I papa ini kitika ni kweta kata ini kata ku tikita yama tu itiki tu sima atakati. And as the final thing, what they're doing is they are what they call repairing the DNA, the strands. To kitika nikitika atikiti malaki tu isi mahale kiti mahokwe tiki tasikiti, and it goes all the way along the spine. So kitika malele akiti sia makarta kitiktuia. Pu isi la kui mi yakato to the ihtikita kata kitui tikita tu tika hoshini taderararin titisiam kuia pukia papai tutisiam kia and as they gently retreat, they're quite funny. They blow you a kiss. They bow in deep gratitude, and they leave you with a final encoding of love, peace, and unity, as they put it. Sukiale kia makataki kia ushiti kuia mahlakiti kita utikiti isinia palai kita kui masikata titi utikiti mku. I forget not to live, enjoy my child. Tukisiki yamakaki kuki ki ataki te pa itu tu iluri atakatari malala lusikiti yaba and they gently retreat and just gently keep within the energies and allow for it to integrate. And there is no rush, but whenever you're ready, I say you can just open your eyes very, very gently.
Wow. It's just as amazing this time around as it was last time. Just as amazing. And
it's all right. I'm high too.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting. Is it a side effect or is it a main effect? I'm not sure, but it's the effect of the thing. It does raise your vibration way up. You feel it.
Oh my days, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. In fact, at one point, I found myself not blacking out, but more like, I guess, surrendering to it. And I was glad I was sitting down because I'm not sure what would have happened if I was standing at the time. But wow, yeah, I just became nicely disoriented is the way I can describe it. I didn't feel like I was, falling out of control or something. It was just dissociated, maybe is the way to say it.
All right.
Yeah. What were you feeling, Anne-Marie?
Heaven. I was feeling heaven. No, so when you said about the green, I just saw green. But I've really been suffering with my migraines again, and I just felt like there was something here, and I felt this beautiful heat and the energy, and it just was coming here through here, and then it flowed through. and my feet are still tingling now. I just felt like it just felt so calming and so beautiful. And do you know what I kept seeing was a bee like in a hive, or a bee like being born or something. It was very bizarre. I don't know what the relevance with that was, but I just kept seeing a bee.
A bee. Oh, bees are hard working. They're beautiful, beautiful insects. They work very much in harmony. They're very much in harmony with their own hive, so to speak. So unless you're working on something that you're trying to put out into the world, and you're working very diligently on that,
I don't know, but I will contemplate it. But I know I just feel very calm, very lovely. My heart is full. Yeah, it was very, very powerful stuff.
Yeah, I love the aquatics. These are new ones. They came through over the weekend. I'm like, what the heck?
Really, that new?
Yeah, they're very new. I would describe them as kind of frog-like, but they are, but they're not. They're not big. They're not like really like Archangel Michael is super tall, where you just came through very quickly. But they're quite small. They wear green cloaks with that's like a golden rim around it. And they have these luminous little fingers. It's quite cute. It's quite cute, and it's very, very healing.
I wanted to ask you, actually, in the midst of their message, we did I don't remember which archangel, but somebody else came through. I mean, is that common? Like you're receiving one set of message, and all of a sudden somebody else steps in. Wait a minute, I got something to say here.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like.
I just go with it, and it's fine.
But I guess I'm asking, that's a fairly common occurrence. It's not rare.
It's not rare, no. No,
okay.
It's not rare.
Okay. I've often wondered
So how do you feel when you get?
How that happens?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's right.
Sorry, what was the question?
I was just wondering how you feel when you get a new people or new beings pop along.
Oh, I love it.
Does it just blow your mind every time?
I just love it.
More?
And it's quite funny.
Like
somebody
making new friends every
that
day.
To me, and
we lost her.
Oh, sorry, you popped out.
Oh, back.
So, yes. So it's quite amazing when I get new ones. It's very exciting for me. So I keep garnering new ones every single time. And if I could draw, I wish I could draw them, but I can draw them in my head. I can see what they're like in my head, but I wouldn't be able to draw them physically.
I'm wondering if you're always able to translate. Like, do you have a universal translator that comes in to help you? How does that work?
That's like I don't know how to explain that to you. That's like a feeling, like I know what they mean, and I have to say it pretty quickly before it, goes away.
So even when you have, like you said, a new contact, you had these aquatic beings coming through over the weekend for the first time. Even with that new contact, the translation comes along with it, I guess. I'm not sure how
it does automatically. Yeah, for me, it becomes, like I said, everything that you do, whatever modality you decide to take on, everything's like riding a bike. You got to learn to ride a bike, and you got to keep practicing it, and then you'll become better at it.
You make it sound so relatively simple, though. I mean, we're not talking about riding a bike. We're talking about translating a language that you've never heard before. That's not exactly in the same category. Riding a bike, you go out, you tried a couple times. Okay, I did it. No, hold on.
Yeah, but it is kind of like that, though. If you want to do something, then you just go for it.
So fearless.
Yes. But then, as you know, fear is it's all in our heads. It's all in our minds.
What was the acronym? False evidence appearing real.
Absolutely. False evidence appearing real or falling endlessly or arising revolutionary, right? The choice is
Okay.
yours.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
When you get your first contact and you're making your first translation, is there? I'm trying to understand what the impetus is behind the first contact. I mean, like, is it a case where they're there to give you some new information you didn't have, or is it just here we are, or what is it?
Normally it's information. Yeah, normally first contact was a movie, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
yeah, they always give me pieces of information. So it's like they are, call them the galactic family anyway. But yeah, they give me new things to work with.
How often do
And
you get a new
sometimes
contact?
sorry?
How often do you get a new contact?
That depends. Sometimes weeks will go by, you know, and then all of a sudden somebody new pops in. It's like a new contact. It's like a Rolodex.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
And
Rolodex. Oof. Go ahead.
no, I was just wondering, do they communicate amongst themselves, or is it all separate, or are they all together? I mean, I know we're all connected through source, but
Absolutely.
I'm just want to do like the whole family tree of it.
Oh, they all come together. Sometimes there'll be more, and they just gently kind of wait their turn, and then, you know, if they want to come forward, then they come forward. Yeah, you're right. We are all one. So, but for humanity's sake, it's always easier to discern them. You know,
What
to
what do
say
you
who
mean?
they are.
Oh,
To say who they are in that sense. Sorry.
because it gives us context. It gives us a
Yes,
label rather than
absolutely,
something else. Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm. Which is kind of interesting, even if you've mentioned the names of a few of these groupings, and none of them are anything that I've ever heard of before. But somehow, just by naming it, it sounds like, oh yeah, well, of course they all go together. I don't know why that works that way, but it seems to.
But you know, even the galactics, there's a saying that a friend of mine used to say, there are more species than the hair on your head within
Mm.
the cosmos, and that is very, very true. And it's fascinating because each of these species, so to speak, have their own form of evolution. I mean, most are far more advanced than humanity. You know, we reincarnated here because we wanted to be born in these very transformational times. We chose this.
So I've been told. I've often questioned my own judgment, but so I've been told.
You want to go back?
Yeah,
Now, what were you thinking? There's another.
Exactly. That's one of my favorite things to ask. Speaking of questions,
absolutely.
actually, we have a couple of people in the live stream. One of them wants to ask some questions. So let me pass.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Fire away.
Tom is asking, I would love to ask what Brigida would be able to receive from Archangel Michael on the situations that are occurring in the world right now.
Situations occur. That's quite funny because I did see him as he was walking with his massive sword. But you know, Archangel Michael. People always ask me this. It's funny, Tom. I know who Tom is. People always ask me this question, like, is the world going to be a better place? And they always come with the same response. The world will become a better place, but it starts with you. It doesn't start outside of yourself. It starts with you. So with Archangel Michael, you know, it's all about facing our fears. It's all about, you know, wait, he puts it this way. Let me do it exactly. He says, it's about cleansing your inner demons. So yes, it is about walking through the dark night of soul. And you cannot heal, you cannot transform until you face those fears. That's it. And everything, as I said earlier, is within the mind. That's the thing. So if we remove all these labels, if we heal up and we don't have that fear and that shame and all that, is what I call it, that 3D stuff that has been created in this artificial paradigm, and then we see the world in a completely different light. But we cannot progress without this feat of duality. Just like there's night, there's day, there's good, there's bad. All the opposites.
So a major piece of this is always the part that I find challenging, and that I think most people find challenging. The major piece of this is finding peace with that we don't like.
Yes. But it becomes easy. Because if you, whatever you've been through, whatever you're going through, it's learning to understand your experiences. It's, for me, I mean, that's no secret. I suffered a burnout nearly twice, and the third time I wasn't so lucky, but I soldiered on. But what are you going to do about it? And I'm not one to just sit back and let the world walk all over me and sit in that corner. I'm not. You know, I grab the bull by the horns because I created this experience and I take full responsibility for that. And that's why, I mean, our experiences, yeah, some are crappy and some are, you know, a little bit sweeter, so to speak. But whatever we go through, these are the challenges that we have asked for.
That's the hard part too. That's really the hard part, recognizing and being willing to admit, I created this mess I'm in. I may not have even been aware that I created it or how I did it or when I did it, but I did it. Yep. And that's hard. Like, why would I do that to myself?
Because you obviously needed to learn something.
Yeah.
But that takes so much practice, doesn't it? Because I certainly know that for the last few years, I've known that, you know, whatever happens to me is either happening for me or I've attracted it. It's my making. Yeah, it's only in the last couple of weeks that I feel I've been kind of saying to myself, stop blaming everybody else. Stop blaming. And it's taken years to get to the stage where it's like, stop. And just getting that, even though I understood it, it's just actually then feeling that and believing it.
Yes. That makes sense.
Yeah, that blame thing, that's a great thing to leave behind. It takes some practice to do it, but boy, once you learn to do it, it can be that alone. I mean, you don't need any other modalities at that point. You're leaving the blame behind. You are already raising your vibration way, way up. Because that's what we spend so much. Humans spend a huge amount of time on blame. I mean, like massive amounts of time.
I know. That's the ego, isn't it? And we deflect rather than reflect.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing nowadays. I mean, nothing really phases me. There'll be times where I'm like, maybe for half an hour, and then it's okay. I just let it go. Because what's the point? I can tell you guys I love you because I do love you, you know, and I can say that to every, you know, people that are listening. Tom, you know, I love you because I do. I don't see this separation anymore. That's probably why I'm such a weirdo.
Oh,
interesting choice of terms there.
No,
you definitely. Well, yeah, weirdo. Yeah. So if this is a weirdo, I want to be more weird.
Well, yeah, I'd love to be more weird.
Unlimited edition.
Yeah, sign me up. But also, what you're really talking about is that connectedness, that we're all kind of connected together.
We are, absolutely.
And you referred to it in the inverse. You talked about the separation. Talk about what that separation, what that word means to you when you say that.
Separation is like very black and white. When we walk in the street, nobody recognizes one another. Nobody.
Okay.
You know, that is like when you look at your background. I'm always fascinated by your background. But if you were to connect all the dots, right, we're connected. But people just don't realize that, because once we incarnate, we forget that we are just love. and we get molded and kneaded in this world, so to speak, and we become a version of ourselves that's not even, we're not even true to ourselves. That's that authentic nature. I mean, well, what does it even mean to be authentic to yourself? Well, how does that even work? And again, that's about alchemizing your experiences and understanding, as I always say, the cogwheels of life. And then it becomes pretty easy. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And honestly, I'm still a work in progress.
Well, I
I
think
haven't
we
got
all
it all
are.
figured out, you know?
I mean, if we're still breathing, that means there's more to be done.
Yes.
Very true.
Did you wake up this morning? Oh, okay, you're not done yet. So yeah, that's the test. You know, when once you're done, you know it because you're not here anymore. You're back in, you know, source world and spirit world.
Yes, you are. And then it's like you get your whole life review, and it's like, well, you know, Walt, you could have, don't you think you could have done better in this situation? And what could you have done in this situation? Yeah, okay. But it's not like, it's like a graduation party anyways, I call it.
Graduate. Yeah, that's a common way to describe the life review. Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny because the way it's often described, it reminds me of how we human beings are quite capable of, my favorite way of saying it is beating the crap out of ourselves. Basically finding fault with ourselves in 1,000 different ways, you know, death by 1,000 paper cuts. We humans are really, really good at that. And so even as we're talking about something like a life review, which I don't think that's what it's about at all, we tend to think of it that way. They're like, oh, we'll go show off. Oh, I really wish I'd done that part different. Well, you know, it's not about tearing yourself down, but it sounds like it because that's what we're used to doing to ourselves.
Yes, in the human form, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what gets confusing about it.
Do you notice we look at that life review and we're thinking all the bad, all the stuff we perceive as bad, not all the we've made people feel wonderful, we've done amazing stuff. It's
Uh-oh.
She's frozen. Oh, there you are.
Here she comes. Try again, Anne-Marie. We got cut off there.
I'm back.
You're back.
No, I'm back in the room. No, I was just saying that, you know, we focus on like, oh, we're going to feel really bad on stuff that we regret maybe. And we're fearing that rather than the good stuff we've done.
Yeah, but there's not really good or bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, then we get into the whole thing of, you know, somebody murders someone, but then that could be in a past life too, where the roles were reversed. There's so much to that, but everyone always has a choice as it is. But that's that feat of duality again. You know, if we don't understand the bad, how could we ever understand the good? How could we ever make those necessary changes? And
haven't our most amazing learning curves come from those experiences?
Absolutely. I think my guides were often having a field day with me, and they were going, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Further a new experience. Oh, it's the same experience in a different wrapping. Oh, let's just sit back and grab the popcorn and see what she does now.
It's nice to know they're eating popcorn. At least, you know, they're enjoying it. That's good. You know? Pass the candy corn. But well, Tom is actually asking more on what we were just talking about that duality. So let me read it to you, and you can comment on it. He says, I understand we as human beings are responsible for all we create or experience, but life is sometimes so unfair, so difficult to understand in which way it's pushing us. Right now, I'm like at a point where I don't really know where in and where out, but still so free to choose what to make out of it. How to finally know what we finally came to do here on this planet.
I'm going to say this to you again, Tom. Do you think I have it all figured out? Do you think Walt has it all figured out? Or Anne-Marie, or anyone for that matter? That's why we're here. We're here to uncover, we're here to uncover our purpose. And for some, that could be taking care of a family. But let's face it, there are two main things. One, we're here to learn to manipulate the energies, because I always say what we think we create, and thus we manifest into existence, right? That's what we do.
Mhm.
We may not be conscious of it, but we certainly do. If you say, well, I cannot do this, it's impossible, and you keep repeating that, that's the seed you sow in your head. So you're your own kink in the cable. And of course, the second thing is we're here to return to that love for ourselves, because, oh man, we're so lost as a species. But more people are waking up to the fact, hey, you know what? I've got to alchemize my experience. I've got to heal up. I want to live a better life. And it starts with you. And just because you're lost and you don't know where you're going yet, it doesn't matter. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Eventually you will figure it out.
I'm reminded of something that was written by one of my favorite authors, Richard Bach, who is the author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. He's the author of Illusions, which I think is quite possibly the best law of attraction novel ever written. He wrote a whole series of books that are just really phenomenal. But anyway, one of the things he wrote about is the idea that that everything that happens in life, everything we do in life, every experience we have can really be broken down into two categories, very similar to the two categories you gave, Brigitte. In his case, the two categories he gave are to learn and to have fun. And if you look at everything you do, you're either learning or having fun or both. When you look at it that way, when you think about it that way, and apply that to the things that are really painful, the really, really frustrating, horrible, terrible things, and ask yourself, okay, was any of it fun? Probably not. And was any of it stuff that you were learning from? Because even if you apply it to that really dark side of the duality, what you find is there really isn't anything else. It's either you're learning or you're having fun or some combination of the two.
Yeah, or it's that joy you find within.
Yeah, which is basically that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Fun doesn't come from outside, it comes from inside. I mean, you go to the amusement park to have fun, but you still go inside to have fun. The amusement park doesn't do. I mean, if you just go to an amusement park sometime alone with no intention of riding a ride or walking a midway or going into an event, and it's not going to be all that fun. Why? Because you're not going within. But you go with somebody, and now you're sharing an experience. Now you go within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Life's a journey, and I mean, there's so many different trajectories you can take, and it's entirely up to you. But Tom, I will tell you this much: you are exactly where you need to be at this moment in time. When I'm terrible, sorry. Sometimes I pick a card, so I do that.
Terrible about that. Reverse that one, please. You're fine. That's acceptable and lovable and wonderful.
So I will tell you this, Tom, when spring comes, you have a lot more clarity, but there is still chaos within you. Even though you've cleared a lot out, there is still stuff that you need to walk through. And that's what it's called, almost what they're talking about, like winter hibernation. There's also the fact you need to stop doing that. So this is, I hate it. It's like screeching on a chalkboard. And that's Archangel Michael, funnily enough. It's almost like he's saying there are certain people that he's talking about that divide, but it's not, I don't know how to put this. Okay, fine. There are certain people that you need to let go, but there's also something he's talking about, boundaries. You need to learn to set boundaries. You do a lot for other people because you're trying to find your way, but do not lose yourself. So, and for some reason, he is trying to get your attention for something. And I don't know if where you are there are paths in the woods. I'm not sure what it is, but that's what he's showing me. He's he's trying to get your attention. But the other thing that I have said to you, that's okay, fine, is what's with the path? It's going down, down, down. I almost want to say you're going to make another trip somewhere, whether that's another spiritual retreat. I don't know. That's probably going into next year. But you'll be making a big jump as well. That's how they're putting it. So go with the flow, and whatever you're going through, just take it, as I always say, a day at a time, a step at a time, a breath at a time. But you are transcending, you are in that transformation. So be patient with yourself and be gentle with yourself.
I'm intrigued by the process there, because as you were receiving that download and trying to translate it for Tom and so forth, at 2 or 3 different points you said, oh, all right, okay, like, I hear what you're saying. I'll go that way. I don't really want to go that way, but I know you want me to go that way, so I'll go that way.
It's like trying to translate, images.
But what the sense that I was getting is that, we all struggle at times. We
do.
We
it's
struggle
okay.
with messages we get. We struggle with our own lives, with our own situations, and so forth. And even though you're in a receptive state, you're struggling handling this inflow of information that comes to you when you're receiving these messaging. You're demonstrating.
Do you know what it's like when you hear a sword screeching and it's like on like on a blackboard?
Yeah. So even when you're getting good messaging, it still can be a struggle sometimes. Struggle happens.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
And struggle actually makes us stronger too. It makes us stronger. It makes us more effective. But still, we go through it.
Yes, absolutely.
I had a bit of an experience this last week. I just put a bit of reflection, and it kind of relates in that. Is this time last year I was feeling a bit like run down. I was really busy at work. I was working very hard. I was being told that I never get promotion, blah 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 blah. And then the other week I got my promotion, and I'm able to enjoy a lot of the Christmas stuff because I'm being given that time. And I just looked back and thought, oh, what a lot of time I wasted worrying. And it just kind of hit me. I kind of not ruined that month because it was a learning curve, but that was a hard month when I didn't have to be, because I was just worrying about the future when I should have just let it flow.
You can. This is the one thing, because I'm writing my book about India now, but Sri Ravi Shankar, he said, you can't breathe in the past. You cannot breathe in the future. You can only breathe in the present moment. So in the present moment is where you create. If you could breathe in the past, great, but you can't. So why do you keep looking back there? Can you breathe in the future? No, you can't. The only way you're going to create better tomorrows is by creating in the present moment. When we manifest, we forget that we often say, I want to be very black and white. I want to be a millionaire. Okay, very black and white. But that's a future projection. You will have to say, I am a millionaire. I am in wherever you want to be. I am in Bali. And then you take the steps to whatever you want to achieve.
Yep.
And that's the same for me. Like it comes a little bit easier to me now, but sometimes I'm also my own worst enemy. That's why I say I'm a work in progress. But for my second collaboration book, which comes out in April, it was thrown into my lap.
Wow.
And I knew that I had to take that opportunity because it's with 15 other authors. And it was like spirit saying, it was almost like this nudge, you're going to do it. I thought, what the heck, man? I work 70 hours a week. Well, I did it. I got the extension as well. And I wrote it. I wrote the piece. And, and so that just happened.
And going back to
Brilliant.
what you said a moment ago, Anne-Marie, talking about the struggle from a year ago and how you look back on it, and wow, you didn't really have to suffer like that. But that's an interesting
Yeah.
aspect of what struggle is. Struggle is how we
Yep.
learn how to not struggle.
Correct. Absolutely. That's how we navigate through life. And then we look back and it's like, but why did we do that? Why did we do that to ourselves when we should
Yeah.
just let it go? Because we try and control something and we make up all these infinite stories within our head, and that's how we plant these little seeds. And the only one that we're hurting in the end is ourselves, because we riddle ourselves with anxiety and worry because we concoct all these stories in our minds.
It's
We're the
not just
greatest
stories, too.
storytellers. It's incredible.
We are. Oh, we're incredible storytellers, right? It's just that we have this tendency to tell stories that we don't like, which is the strangest part of all. You would think we would spend a lot more time on the stories we like. We don't seem to do that for some reason.
Yes.
I mean, even our entertainment, how much entertainment do we have that actually is truly positively oriented? And then how much of it is negatively oriented? It's almost 99% negatively oriented, probably closer to 100. I mean, there's like this little tiny percentage of, we'll throw a little positivity in just to make sure we get a balance.
Yeah.
But we have this very, very strong orientation, which tells me, I struggled with this for a long, long time. What it tells me is, for whatever reason, we're choosing that. Very clearly, we're choosing that repeatedly. Over and over. I mean, when you make the same choices over and over and over again, and everyone else is making those same kinds of choices over and over and over again, there's something going on there. That's not happenstance. That's not, randomness. That's everyone choosing, focusing negative. That's what it is a choice. It's not just one choice. It's an endless series of choices, choosing it over and 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 over again.
It's like being stuck in Groundhog Day. Well, and up there, they're like, hello, are you listening to us? Oh my gosh, why are you doing this again and again and again? Well, if you don't get it right in this lifetime, maybe you'll get it right in the next lifetime.
I think what happens is the more that we do it, the more that we are in this place where we're constantly picking all these negatives and picking them apart and getting frustrated and worrying about them and complaining about them and blaming and shaming and everything else that we do. It's as if over time, what we're really doing is letting them dissipate through all that crazy, wild action. It's like there's a piece of us that just feels like we need to go through all that nonsense just so we can let it go.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't even have a TV. I haven't had a TV for years. I love it.
Yeah. I hear you on that. Yeah. I actually acquired one this past year, and I'm questioning my sanity in terms of having done that.
So you should.
Well, I was actually thinking about this over the weekend because I didn't have a whole lot planned this weekend. I had some planned, but not a whole lot. It was mainly a weekend of physical rest. Not rest isn't the right word. Physical. What's the word I'm looking for? Restoration. Physical restoration. And that meant not going out and doing something, which meant, well, what am I going to do? I could read, I could watch TV. Oh God. I mean, there were limited options, right? Because I was just sitting at home. And about 3/4 of the way through the weekend, I recognized that I had taken on an attitude that I didn't like at all. It wasn't angry, but it was pissy. It was a pissy kind of an attitude. And I said, wow, am I really doing that to myself just by sitting at home and doing these things that I'm not really crazy about doing? Yeah, I was. And I turned off the TV and I stopped the other things that I was doing, and I still felt the pissiness. So I asked myself, so what's going on there? Why am I still feeling all this pissiness? And the only answer I could come up with was, I needed to. I didn't know why, but for some reason, I needed to feel pissy.
And what happened then?
I let myself feel pissy.
Okay.
And by the way, when I did that, it started to dissipate. I had to let myself go through it.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
accept that. You accept it.
Right.
That's what you do. You embrace it. Okay. Yeah. And then you let it go.
That's one of the best things I've learned in the last couple of years. The best way to let go of an emotion is to allow yourself to feel it. Just keep feeling it because it will disappear.
Yeah.
What,
And, you
what,
know,
what makes it hang on is when we don't allow ourselves to feel it all the way through. Then it'll hang on forever. It'll hang on as long as you're willing to just stay in that place of, nope, I'm not going to feel that through.
yeah. And our emotions are energy emotion. That's what we do. It runs through our whole body. So if we are anxious about something, it's poof, it goes into the mind, and then it goes along the meridian circuitry within our body, and you know, it latches on to somewhere. That's why oftentimes we feel at such a dis-ease within ourselves. And we create that. We really do.
The term that we often use to describe that here on the show is radical responsibility. Being radically responsible for accepting that we are the creators of our own experience.
Yes.
And I like the term because it sounds pretty radical. But it also, when I say it sounds pretty radical, I guess what I mean is it sounds so different from where I want to be that it kind of self-illustrates the potential for the change. Because I mean, that's what radical is. Radical really means change.
Yes. That's why I always say we are alchemists. That's what we are. We're transformers. We just don't realize it.
Boy, we're busy.
Yes, we are. We are.
It's amazing how busy we are. Even when we don't know we're doing it, that's the part that blows my mind. I mean, everybody, no matter what their level of awareness, what do they call it, their enlightenment level, no matter what that level is, maybe it's 0, they're still doing it.
Yep.
That's pretty damn cool. I mean, it's not necessarily fun, but that's really remarkable. It's almost like you don't have a choice, but you do.
Absolutely.
There are even times when I say this stuff, I say to myself, does that actually make sense? But it does. It makes total sense. Oh my goodness, Brigitte. We've gone through an hour again. Like,
I know. I just saw that. Like, time flies when you're having fun.
Every single time. It's crazy. Yeah. But this has been wonderful once again. By the way, thank you once again for leading us through that and bringing that messaging in. From the newest grouping that comes to you. Do you have any? Have you ever counted? Do you have any idea how many groupings have come to you?
No.
If you had to estimate, what would you say?
I don't know, because you have the main ones like the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Venusians. They're different Syrians, the fairies, the archangels. There are so many different ones. I'm always very humbled when they come through. You know, that's why I say I live in my own little bubble, and I love it, and I love it.
I'm reminded of something you mentioned earlier. My background, that I show on the video page for people who watch the video. The James Webb telescope was sent up a few years back, and it's currently 1 million miles or so from Earth and heading away from Earth, heading away from the moon. And they're using it to explore the universe in a way that they've never been able to do before, because there's zero light pollution. They get perfect light reception there, and they've got this massive telescope that can receive all that light, and so they're just getting all these incredible images. So, for instance, they'll point the thing, so to speak, at an area of space that from here on Earth we say there's nothing there, there's no stars there, and then they'll take an image that's like packed full of stars. I mean, huge amounts of stars. So you were talking earlier about what happens when you connect all those stars together. The Webb telescope has reminded me there are so many of them, more than we can truly imagine. And
correct.
And most of what we're seeing, even with the Webb telescope, they aren't really stars. They're all galaxies.
Correct.
So one little speck of light is a galaxy, and you get seemingly billions of these specks of light, and they're all galaxies. At that point, the mind starts to bend and break and say, I can't calculate how big that is. But what I do know is this:
It's infinite.
If that is representative of, for instance, all the different levels of not levels, all the different examples of consciousness that exists in the universe, then we're really saying something when we say everything's connected, because there's a lot that's connected.
I mean, the whole multiverse is one big ball of consciousness. It's forever evolving. It never stops. We are eternal, and we are continuously evolving. It never ends. And I think that is just amazing. And that's why I always say about life on this planet, it's like this cosmic game of evolution. And when we play Mario Brothers or like Donkey Kong, on the Xbox or whatever, or PlayStation, it's like, or Crash Bandicoot, we try to level up, and we can't get it right the first time. We may have to try it 10 times to get to the next level. And that's the same with experiences. We may not get it right the first time, but eventually, oh, we get it now. Oh, yeah, this is, now I understand what I did wrong, not wrong, or, what I could have done differently, and I'll react differently. And then you level up, and your understanding of life becomes, or you become more aware. And that's kind of like how I see it. We keep leveling up.
That's good. That's good way to describe it. So, Anne-Marie, I always come to you to sum things up. There's no way you can sum all this up. I know that would be asking far too much. So I'll just ask you, what's your takeaway? If you can think of one thing that stands out more than anything else, what's your takeaway today?
Oh, I had it in my head a minute ago. But first off, I just want to say thank you, because I feel very blessed to have had this experience and to talk to you. So thank you. And I think my take from this, there's a lot of reflection from this for me, because there's been so much information, but I think it's just be kind and try and have fun along the way. Be kind to yourself and just enjoy the ride. Be gentle.
I like that. I think you just summarized it beautifully. That is the message. Be kind to yourself. There's no need to beat yourself up for what's going on and what you're doing, what you're choosing.
No,
choose kindness
not
instead.
at all.
Plus, kindness is a whole lot easier route. It really is.
Yes, I agree. We beat ourselves up so often. Why do we do that?
It's what we do.
Yeah, that's why be gentle with yourself. Be kind. Have compassion.
Yeah, and start with yourself.
Yes,
because when you're kind to yourself, then it's a whole lot easier to be kind to everybody else.
Indeed.
Great stuff, Brigitte. Thank you once again for joining us. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, you took us on a great journey once again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. And I hope people have had their blah blah, their daily dose of happy.
Well, I certainly have.
You contributed to it in an immense way, so you can take pride in that. That's a good thing. So thank you very much. Thank you, podcast listeners. Thank you to people in the live stream. We love the live stream contributions today as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.